Hi, it's Amethyst Virgo. I'm here with a video about family astrology, astrological genealogy. Have you ever taken a look at the patterns in the zodiac signs in your family? And if you have you gone beyond the sun? So, I want to talk about tracking patterns really quickly. So, a pattern is something that is there is some type of um, you know frequency to it, right? A pattern is not once or twice. A pattern is something where there's a frequency. We can then start to track it. A pattern should be distinct, it's unique, it has multiple reference points, right? It's cool if you and your sibling have the same sun sign. That's a cool point. But if someone, it's even more of a pattern if someone's like, wow, I have six people with the same sign in my family, or a lot of people in my family have a placement in Aries, right? That's different because then we know it's not just a coincidence. Okay, because sometimes some people may plan when they have children, and then if they're planning the same, right, or if they're planning for a certain month, then of course the children may have a similar, a birth sign that's within the same the months, right? Whereas if something isn't planned and it just shows up, then we can look at there's more meaning behind that, perhaps. Okay, so we can also start with things between the sun and the moon. A lot of times you'll see there's some interaction there. The grandparent sun sign is a grandchild's moon sign or something of that nature. You also can look at opposite sign siblings. Does that emerge in your family? That's a balancing factor typically when you see that opposite sign energy. And even though opposite signs are said to be, they have some balancing to do. They can at first seem very different. There's some similarity there. There's some common ground. And I have an opposite sign sibling, and my children are opposite sign siblings. And I have talked to other people who've had a similar dynamic. You also may want to look at placements that are not the sun or the moon, but that are consistent. So maybe it's a lot of people in the family have a certain placement, have a certain sign. Maybe it's not all the same placement, but that energy is still present within the family structure. Also, one thing I would just say, big picture, is energy impacts other people. You may say, I've never met my great so and so. I've never met my grandparent on this side. I've never met this uncle or this person. But if that person had a very big impact on your parent or one of your relatives, good or bad, that energy still can play out, right? Um, like a parent of a certain sign or a child of a certain sign exposing their child to traits they don't have, right? Maybe it is something that carries over. So you can impact someone, one, by the energy you have, and that transfers over. So maybe the pattern is it skips a generation, or you can be impacted by people that you haven't met. Okay. Even people who are no longer here may have an impact on you. Okay. Family themes. You can think to yourself, what are we here to collectively heal, right? What topics or themes keep emerging among different family members and generations? And sometimes you can see that in someone's chart, unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled wishes, or fulfilled dreams, or fulfilled wishes. For some people, it can be really great things that emerge, and for some people, there can be generational trauma, and it keeps passing over. And not only does it pass over in the lives of people, but if you look at it astrologically, you see it in the chart. A lot of times, if we really want to look at what's inherited, what are even when look at our, what generational traumas can be inherited, you want to look at the fourth house. You want to always dissect your fourth house if you're a person with planets there, because I've said it again in my video. It's great because it helps us understand like our emotional nature, but it also can be things that we were born to be or that we were cultivated to be, and as adults we have to really look at, is that really truly what I am, right? I'm handling my emotions like my so and so did, but how do I want to handle myself? But also, is it an energy that's stifling or like it keeps you bound? Are you the family member that stands out because you have a different take on things? You're here to break the generational curse. You have some way in which you're like, I'm not doing that. Or I'm not going to let that happen, right? And I'm not saying that means you're a maverick or that you have to seize the day, but that can be something that happens for some folks. Let me give you an example using grandmothers and granddaughters and mothers and daughters to some extent as well. So everyone on this is my family. So I'm here, right here, Moon and Sag, Virgo Sun. These are women in my family. This is like of this, you'll see my grandmothers, my mother, my sister, and my daughter and her grandmother on here. Everyone who's in black is blood related. Okay, or they're part of this lineage here, my mom's lineage. The purple dot is my grandmother on my dad's side. So I'm starting with my mom's side. So let's look at this. So if we start over here, my great grandmom was a sun in Aquarius. Okay, her daughter, my grandmother, was a Sag sun, and she had Mars and Venus in Aquarius. So some Aquarius, right? My mom was a Moon in Aquarius, Virgo sun, right? Venus and Leo, Mars and Scorpio. That'll be important later. But right, let's focus on the fact that she's a Moon in Aquarius, Virgo sun. Her grandmother, my great grandmother, was a Sun in Aquarius. Okay. Also, my sister has, if I'm right with her birth time from what my mom had told me, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure my sister, because it's a low degree Aries, low degree Aquarius. My sister's a Scorpio Sun, Moon in Aquarius. So they likely share the same moon sign. So go back over here. Here's my grandmother. Sun. She's a sun in the Sagittarius. She was very Sagittarian. She's a sun in Sagittarius. Not only that, my grandmother had an Aries moon as well. I didn't put that on there. My grandmother had an Aries moon. That's important in a second. So my grandmother on my mom's side is sun in Sag. I'm her granddaughter. I'm a moon in Sag, Virgo sun. So yes, I share the same sun sign with my mom. But what's really important here is not that pattern. Remember, I just talked about patterns earlier. It's about the Sag energy, because the Sag energy is my grandmother. Here's me. But then my paternal grandmother is an Aries sun with a Sag moon. So both of my grandmothers had Sagittarius energy. But my other grandmother, my maternal grandmother, I didn't put it on here, but she was a moon in Aries. So both of my grandmothers have Aries and Sag energy. And I think that's very interesting, because you have to imagine that that energy would impact how they raised my parents, right? And so I'm not going to go into the whole, biographical type of explanation here, but that Sag energy, that Aries energy, and how important that is, because for so long I felt disconnected from Aries energy, only to find out both of my grandmothers had Aries energy. My grandmother I always knew was a Sag, but until I looked up her birth date, I didn't know her moon sign. And my paternal grandmother has passed away for a very long time, and so in that side of the family, I don't have as much information about. Even though I grew up with my father until he passed away, he lived with us. My parents were married and all that. Because of I have way more information about my mother's side of the family because I grew up more with that, right? So I just find that interesting. There's a pattern there of my grandmother's having fire energy. Okay. Now, next, my daughter is a moon in Taurus. Okay. She's a Venus and Leo, Mars and Scorpio. Why is that important? My mother also was a Venus and Leo, Mars and Scorpio. So there's there's a pattern there. And so, okay, my daughter's a moon in Taurus. There's not a lot of Taurus energy in my mom's side of the family. My dad's side of the family, not as much either. But my daughter is moon in Taurus, and her grandmother on her dad's side is a sun in Taurus, Virgo moon. So my daughter is getting Virgo energy. Well, my mom passed, but my daughter's grandmothers both have Virgo energy, and I have Virgo energy. So even though my daughter doesn't have any Virgo energy in her chart, she's going to be exposed to Virgo energy. Now let's look at something else here. Okay, let's look at my father's children. So, my father was a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, or Pisces moon. I am rectifying his chart. I have to go through a lengthy process to do that to really match things up. But he's either Aquarius moon or a Pisces moon. Okay. Now his first sun was a Cancer sun, Mercury, and Venus and Leo. Hold that thought. All right. So his second sun was a Leo sun, Leo moon, Mercury, and Venus and Leo. So he's two suns with Venus and Leo, right? And aside, my dad has a lot of Venus and Leo energy around him. He's a Leo, obviously, but my mom was also Venus and Leo, right? So he has those people. He had those people in his life. Then my sister on my so the sister I was talking about earlier is my mom's daughter. This is my sister on my dad's side. She's Capricorn. She is a Capricorn. She is a Capricorn sun. She's a moon in Sag, and she's Jupiter in Aquarius. All that will be important later. Now over here, me and my brother. So we are my dad's last children. We are my mom's last children. that they obviously had together. Um, and so my brother is a Pisces sun, Capricorn moon. Why is that interesting? Because my other sister is a Capricorn sun. My dad may be a Pisces moon. Um, my brother and my mom also share some Pisces energy in their chart. They both have Jupiter and Pisces, but that's a different. We'll talk about that another time. Here I am. I'm Leo Sun, Moon and Sag, Mars and Leo, Mercury and Leo. So I have Mercury and Leo like my two half brothers. My other brother is my full brother with the same mother, same father. So we share like there's shared energy. So my dad's children, I'll talk about in a moment. What's interesting here is all of us are creative in some way, and my dad was creative. My dad had a lot of talents. I don't think he fully ever got to fully express in a way he could have, right? The opportunities to fully express his talents in a bigger public way. That's what I mean. Like he was very athletic when he was younger, played sports. He also was a really good, talented artist, and that's important because um, my half brother that's still alive, he is really good artist. He's a really good artist, and I think that's the influence of the Leo and the Cancer in his chart. So he's actually has like um, paintings and things he's drawn, like really good artist. Um, and my other brother, I didn't know until I saw something he passed away a few years ago, but he had posted on Facebook like he also had artistic talent. My sister on this side, she was in graphic design. She creates graphic, and I'm like I'm not really the artist type. Like I don't draw anymore. When I was a kid, I actually could draw, but I'm creative in terms of like content and writing and I like if I were to say my type of artistic ability is it's more so that like the same as like my sister, like more of like I would be more into graphic type of thing, but I'm more creative mentally than I am like with art. But my daughter also loves art, but she's not on this chart. And my brother is also really good at drawing. My brother that we grew up together, same household, same parents. So that's there. This stem here of like even though he's no longer here, my father just like interesting to see throughout his children there's all each one of us is creative in some way. Now, same sign, different planets, overlaps. One thing to think about is if you're sharing the same sign as someone, that doesn't totally mean the energy is going to manifest the same way, right? So for example, the Venus in Leo expects appreciation for their talents. They need to be noticed. Look at what I just drew. Look at what I just made, right? Look at what I'm wearing, right? They may not say it in those exact ways, but that's an example of that. They can have more of a giving nature. Sometimes, Venus is about relaxation, but it's also about luxury. They like luxury, likes nice things. Mars and Leo is a little bit different. So Mars is not about luxury. Mars is about action, and it's about initiative, and it's about executing things. So the Mars and Leo person may have more fortitude in showcasing their talents. Maybe they can be a little more contentious, right? They're a little bit more forward with what they're good at sometimes. Like I'm my Mars in the 12th house. I'm a little bit more humble than some others, but there's a difference there, right? So your Mars and Leo is more like I'm gonna execute this. Look at how well I can do this, and Venus might be more appreciate what I am, right? There's a difference there. Um, Now, a family that has members with multiple Leo placements, the Mercury, you got Mercury, maybe this person is more known for their mind, their thinking, their learning, the person that has the sun in Leo, right? It can still mean there's a theme there of talent or expression. Now again, you would have to look at what's going on. If someone has Saturn in Leo, that can be difficult because we know Saturn is considered to be in detriment in Leo, and so there could be some difficulties there, right? So you would have to look at what the planet is, etc. um, Now, the nodes. So the North Node. Family members who have prominent placements in the North Node, in your North Node, can help you on the mission or possess energy that is a part of your journey. They may ignite that energy in you. Okay, so and again, your North Node is not a personality trait, right? It's a path. But it's like when you see that somebody's in their authentic self, their authentic truth, it helps motivate you, right? If you've North Node in Taurus, we are here to learn the best path for ourselves is to simplify things. Yes, we can take all the complexity from what we know as our South Node in Scorpio, but we are here to simplify, make things easier for ourselves, make things flow, make things efficient, make things resourceful, and to build resources by simplifying the process, by thinking about what we already have and how do we use that to magnify where we want to be, right? But if you have a Taurus person in your life, you get to see that up close and personal. So that's a way in which sometimes a person's, you know, personal planets can help you on the way to really activating your North Node. Now we know if the South Node represents our past life or our past, family members who have prominent placements here can indicate some past karma to resolve. There's something you need to figure out. So you would actually have to look, what am I seeing here? Someone's North Node is in my South Node, or vice versa, right? We might have some past life energy, some past things. Maybe we have to resolve something. Maybe it's something simple we have to resolve, and then we can just move on with their lives. But the thing to think through here is you can appreciate their core energy, but recognize you're not here to repeat mistakes. So you have to differentiate yourself from someone somehow. So like if your North Node is their South Node, right? You have to you can't, it can be so easy to fall. It's like, someone who's following their older cousin, and the older cousin's way is not your way. It's not going to work for you, but you think it's going to work for you. But really what you need to do is worry about yourself. You really need to do what's authentic to you, North Node in Taurus. But you keep getting caught up and caught up and caught up in the complexity, and your cousin's got this going on and that going on, and for them it may be working, but for you it's just making things messier. So that's one way to look at the nodes. Placements can also be not the same, but a pattern can also be something that is like the opposite sign energy, or something like your child's moon sign is your North Node sign. Your child or parent has a planet in your South Node. Again, that can be part of synastry. But what I think is interesting about those is the importance here around what am I here to learn? What is this person here to show me? How am I bridging the gap? How am I also, when I learn something, it doesn't mean I have to just take the lesson they're giving me. I can learn something that I am coming out of this with in a little bit better sense of clarity, right? So when you look at the nodes and the patterns among family members, you kind of want to distinguish what is that really telling you. All right, here's another example. The Jackson family. We all know about the Jacksons. Like, come on, everybody. All right, to give an example, and I'm like, when I use examples, again, it's about the best astrological approach to teach or show someone something. So I didn't know what I was going to find when I looked at the Jacksons. I know Michael's a Virgo, was a Virgo. I know Janet is a Taurus. I knew that. I knew he was a Pisces moon, but I didn't really know much else. But look at this. This is interesting. Among the Jackson family, Taurus and Cancer was a pattern. Now, I'm not listing every single placement someone in this family has, and I'm not listing everybody that's in the family. I'm listing some of the most, the people, the names we recognize. If I miss someone, it's not on purpose. It's just that they didn't fit this. They didn't fit this pattern. And I figure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 10 to 11 people is enough for there to be a pattern. Michael had a Mars and Taurus. Okay, at first glance, okay, cool, right? Janet is the Taurus. Okay, that's the first link. She has Mercury and Mars in Taurus and Jupiter in Cancer. So already we're saying, wow, Michael and Janet both have Mars and Taurus, right? Joe Jackson, Mercury, Pluto in Cancer, Mars and Jupiter in Taurus. So I'm like, okay, he has Mars and Taurus like his 3 children. I mean, his 2 children, right? Catherine Jackson, the mother, Sun in Taurus, which is interesting because if Joe had Jupiter in Taurus, we know in some astrological modes of thinking, Jupiter can represent your spouse. Now, it's more to it than just the sign, but sometimes you do see people's Jupiter sign indicating something about their spouse, just like Juno can as well. So I thought that was very interesting that she was a Sun in Taurus, just like Janet. Her moon is maybe in Cancer or Leo when I looked it up. I do not think Catherine Jackson is a Leo moon. If you seen any interviews with her, she did not seem very like Leo moons have an energy about them. You can tell they're trying to draw and attract people to them. They're trying to draw and attract attention. Good sometimes, but sometimes bad. But Leo moons have a different vibe about them. I think Catherine Jackson was more than likely a moon in Cancer. Is more, Jackie Jackson, Sun in Taurus, Mars in Taurus. So 4 people in this family have Mars in Taurus so far. Jackie, possible moon in Taurus. Again, he was born when you don't know. It's one of those days where the moon changed signs, so it's unclear. Jermaine Jackson, moon and Jupiter in Cancer. All right, we know Janet had Jupiter has Janet has Jupiter in Cancer. Moon in Cancer comes up again because Catherine could be a moon in Cancer, right? So and Joe had two planets in Cancer that are the main that I thought were important. That again, there are other planets these people may have in some of these signs. I'm trying to find the pattern. I'm not trying to talk about everything they have in the chart. Germain, Moon, and Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter in Cancer shouldn't be surprising. Sometimes Jupiter goes back and forth signs, neighboring signs. Any of these siblings were born a year apart, whereas Jupiter or any of that, it was going to show up. I did not put really Uranus in here that much. Tito has Uranus in Cancer, but that's not a big deal because it's a generational planet, which means any of his siblings born around the same years as him were going to have Uranus in Cancer. Latoya Jackson had Venus in Cancer, has Venus in Cancer. Reby Jackson has Mercury in Taurus. And I'm talking had and had past tense. Some people have passed on, some people are still here. So I'm being very clear on who's still here. But and Randy Jackson, Moon in Cancer. So what does that tell us? I mean, Cancer is about family. Now, whether we want to talk about some of the controversy or some of the rumors or things with the Jackson family, we know undeniably they were a very successful family, like huge, globally. And Cancer represents the family unit, and Taurus represents resources. And so you do kind of start to see that thematic theme emerging with all these shared energy in the chart. Now, you know who these are. You know who they are. It doesn't matter what you think about them. Let's talk about the astrology. Among the Kardashians, Jenner, I know like three of them are Kardashians, two are Jenners, whatever. Pisces and Libra showed up the most. Kris Jenner, I think she's still Jenner, right? Sun, Venus, and I think she kept the last name. Sun, Venus, and Scorpio. We're not surprised that Kris is a Scorpio. We know Scorpios can be very not all of them, but Scorpio is known for being scrupulous, for being methodical, for controlling things sometimes. And we know Kris Jenner has been accused of like controlling her daughter's careers. I don't think she controls everyone's in the same way because there are some of the daughters that are a little bit more outspoken and a little bit more, but for the most part, we know Kris is a momager. That's what she is. She does have a say in a lot of the things that her daughters do. Mars and Mercury in Libra for Kris, Moon in Cancer. Kim, Sun in Libra, Moon in Pisces, Venus in Virgo. So Kris and Kim, for the most part, the only really thing they share, I would say, is the Libra energy. Rob Jr., Sun in Mercury in Pisces, Moon in Libra. So Libra comes up again, at least with Kris, Kim, and Rob. Rob Sr., Kardashian, he was a Sun in Pisces, Moon in Aquarius. That Moon in Aquarius will be important later. But he had a lot of Aquarius energy in his chart. Not surprising because he's a lawyer. And so lawyers, you would tend to want to see some level of, I would say with lawyers, I want to see air energy, or I'd want to see some Virgo energy, but definitely like a Libra energy or Aquarius energy for a lawyer. Courtney, Sun in Aries, Venus in Pisces. So Pisces comes up again, but Courtney has a lot of cardinal energy in her chart. I believe she had Capricorn energy too. So that's why Courtney, I think, pushes back a little bit more than some of the other sisters. Chloe, Sun in Cancer, Mercury, Venus in Cancer, Mars in Scorpio. Important because Kris is the Scorpio, and Scorpio energy comes up again with the two younger sisters. Kylie, Sun in Leo, two fire sign sisters, but Kylie, Moon in Scorpio, Kris is the Scorpio. We saw Chloe with Mars in Scorpio, and she has Mars and Venus in Virgo, which is important because Kim also has Venus in Virgo. Kendall, Sun in Scorpio, right? So we see Scorpio, right? And we know Scorpio is about resources. It's about investing, people investing in you. Let me get to that in a moment. And then Mercury in Libra with Kendall. So Libra shows up again. Only thing the reason I put Moon in Aries there is because Courtney also has a Sun in Aries. Caitlyn Jenner, Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Libra. I just thought it was interesting that Kris married two Moon in Aquarius. So why? What shows up here? Pisces. I mean, Pisces in the sense of the kind of image. Think about that. That shows up, right? Image. Pisces can make you see whatever you want to see. Pisces does associate with illusion, with beauty, with even the plastic surgery industry can be associated with Pisces if you think about it. Libra has some level of likability. I think there is what you tend to see a lot with them is because of some of the things they kind of have to speak up. Kim, I know, is interested in law. She's a Libra, so that's very interesting. That's not surprising, despite what you think about Kim. It's not surprising astrologically that she was very interested in social justice and law and things like that. Whether you think it's fake or not, it makes some sense. But Libra, this idea like justice, or this ability of being like impartial and neutral, and how, like, you notice they don't really speak a lot on controversial issues, despite them having this huge platform. They're not really a family that wants to get involved in some of the more controversial things. Now, of course, they sometimes will say things if it's like in or popular, but what is really important here is a Scorpio. The ability for this family to get, like, think of Scorpio can be magnetizing energy, it can be alluring, it draws you in, it controls. And they were everywhere for many, like, almost, what, 20 years. So that Scorpio energy of that, like, inability to go somewhere and not see them in a magazine, or see them on TV, or see them getting a deal or something like that. I think that Scorpio energy all stems from Chris, to be honest, because she's the Scorpio, like, she's the matriarch of the family. But I'm not surprised that there's a lot of Scorpio energy within this family in general, because of what Scorpio can mean. And the place in Libra makes some sense too. Now, suggestion. Um, the other thing I do want to share is, of course, there are going to be overlap. So you can say, wait, there's 12 signs in the zodiac. There's only 12. Of course, something's going to show up. So don't try to fit something where it doesn't go. If something's not a pattern, it's not a pattern. You don't have to force it. You don't have to try something that doesn't make sense. However, you do see here in the examples that I showed you from my own family, and also the examples of the two famous families I showed you, that there are going to be some overlap sometimes, and it's up to us to make meaning from that. Now, what I would say is, if possible, create an astrological tree, an astrological tree for each side of your family that you know of. If you don't have birth times, look up placements of the date the person was born. You can't know for if you can't know for certain their moon degree or sign if it changed that day. Kind of like me with my father, I don't know if I don't know the exact sign yet. House placements, ascendant, descendant, IC, MC, obviously, but you can still track patterns, right? You can still start to see which sign is emerging. Every turn I go, I see the sign showing up, and that'll help give you some insights on some of the themes, or some of the major lessons maybe of your family. So thank you for watching. If any of this resonated, or you have any patterns of your own to share, please drop a comment below.